Hello, this is penantcharms and today we are going to learn the procedure to make homemade clay in detail. But before that, a small intro to the new viewers. Penantcharms is a small business that I run since January 2024 where I make clay charms. To place order you can DM or email. And Penant Finds is a page where you can find the links for the tools that I use. Okay, that's a small intro. Now let's get into the business. First, let us know the materials required. The ingredients are fevicol, vinegar, baby oil, white paint. I'm using acrylic white paint from Camel. You can use any other paint you want. And a huge quantity of corn flour. You can use any local brand corn flour too. A measuring cup, a weighing machine, and finally a vessel to mix the ingredients. Do not use glass containers. Let the ingredients wait, and now let's move to the first step, which is preheating. Before closing the lid, remove the gasket. Now turn on the flame and bring it to the lowest flame as possible. In my hob, this is the lowest flame. Now add in some rock salt until the base is fully covered. I don't have enough rock salt with me right now, so I'm adding in some normal everyday salt. This is for thermal insulation and the base should be fully covered. Now I am going to keep a vessel holder so that the clay vessel doesn't touch the salt. This method is similar to cake baking. Now let's close the lid and go back to the workstation. Cleaning your workstation is very important. Now let's move to the next step, which is measurement. If you don't have a weighing machine, don't worry, use a measuring cup. First I am taking in fevicol. This is a 60 rupees fevicol bottle. It contains 120 grams of glue. Since I cannot take the whole glue out, I am going to take only 110 grams of glue. Next we need to add in 1 teaspoon of baby oil. It will keep the clay soft, and add in 1 teaspoon of vinegar. It will prevent it from getting molds. Now let's add in the white paint. It will retain the white color of the clay. Let's nicely mix in the wet ingredients. Every single time I do this step, I feel like I'm a baker because this is so satisfying to do. Now it's time for the cornstarch. Measure cornstarch equal to half the quantity of the glue. I'm using 110 grams of fevicol, so I'm going in with 55 grams of cornstarch. So if you're having a measuring cup, fill the cup fully with fevicol and in the same cup fill it fully with cornstarch for the correct ratio. The measuring cup that I have holds the fevicol of 110 grams. That is why I'm taking in the cornstarch in the same cup. Now add in the cornstarch slowly and mix in with the wet ingredients until there is no lumps. Once the texture is loose like a paste, it is ready to be heated. This is how its consistency should look like, and now let's move on to the next step, which is baking. This is the third and most important step, which is baking. We are going to go with 3 to 4 time setting. For the first time setting, let's leave it for 5 minutes. After 5 minutes, let's come back to the baking station and check if the clay is ready. Now let's move on to the working station. In the meantime, let's clean the area and open up a plastic wrapper for kneading. After the first time setting of 5 minutes, this is how the clay will look like. It has small bubbles on the top, but the clay is not yet formed. So let's give it a mix and place it again in the cooker so that the clay will bake evenly. Every single time when I look at this stage, it looks like a whipping cream, but it is not edible, so do not eat it. Now let's leave it for 5 more minutes. Let's open the lid and check if the clay is formed after the second time setting of 5 minutes. We can clearly see that a layer is formed on top of the clay mix, but it is still liquidy on inside. So let's give it a good mix and place it in the cooker for the next time setting of 3 minutes, which is the third time setting. After 3 minutes, the clay has formed, but it is still sticky and not so thick. So let's mix it and heat it for 1 more minute to get the correct texture, and then we can move on to the next step. This is the last setting for my clay. You can adjust it according to the amount of clay you make or the temperature you keep it to bake. After the last and final setting, you can see how the clay is like. It is so thick, now we can work on it. We have baked it for a total of 14 minutes, and now we can proceed to the next step, which is kneading. To check if the clay is ready, tap it on your palm. If it doesn't stick to your hand, the clay is ready. Baking process is done, so turn off the flame. Now let's get into the kneading process. But first, we need to wash our hands with soap and dry it. Now let's take some cornstarch and layer it over the clinging wrap which we have already laid, and rub in some cornstarch in our hand so that the clay wouldn't stick. Now remove the clay from the vessel so that we can start to knead. This step is bit messy and the most satisfying one. Now you need to add in the cornstarch slowly and knead it so the clay becomes less stickier and soft. The time setting process is important because if we let the clay to be in the cooker for a long time, the clay in the base will become hard and the top layer will be liquidy. So it is important to stir the clay from time to time. While kneading the clay, I just want to give an announcement. I'm planning to open up a website soon. Yeah, I'm working on the clay charms. If you have any ideas, leave in the comments and do support penantcharms e-store, which will be launching soon. So now to the 100 marks question, how to know the clay is ready? There are two ways to find this. The first is raindrop formation and the second is your palm should be free from clay sticking to it. Once you find these signs, oil up your clay and cover it with a clinging wrap. And now your clay is ready to be made into beautiful charms, and every single time you make a clay charm, make sure that you store it in a clinging wrap and in an airtight container so that it comes for a long run. Now let's clean the workstation, and here you can see it looks like a mozzarella cheese. We can store it in the airtight container for a long run. Once you store it like this, it comes for around 1 or 2 months. So I will show you the older one which I made like 2 months ago. This is how it looks like and the raindrop is still forming. I hope this video is useful. If you like it, subscribe my channel and follow me on Instagram. See you in the next video. Thank you and have a nice day.